I found this house on Zillow that's been on the market for 130 days. And you're gonna think, well, there has to be something wrong with it, right? If you look at the photos, it's actually in great shape and it's in a great part of town. So why has this house that's owned by a giant corporation in a great part of town not selling in more than 130 days? Well, in this video, we're gonna find out. Let's get a good idea of what the house is. It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,516 square feet, currently for sale for $505. They've had a lot of price reductions on it. Like I said, it is owned by essentially a corporation. Gets these houses, buys them, and puts a markup on it. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look about a mile radius of that house, and I'm gonna get a good idea of what's currently for sale so I understand the competition of what's going on. There's our house right there, and the first thing I'm identifying is when it comes to, let's say, we sort this by lowest to highest price, we can see it's actually one of the more affordable houses for sale right there. But what we're noticing is a saturation of listings, especially 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom, over 2,000 square feet listings, which is the same idea that this house represents. As a matter of fact, you can get a new build for about, it's like 250 square feet less for about $6,000 less. And so I can already tell you there's a lot of saturation going on there. And I'm even finding other houses that haven't sold, like this one, that are for sale for even more. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the houses that are under contract and pending, once again, just to get a good idea of what's actually selling there. So we do see there's actually some pretty heavy activity, but the ones that are selling are not in that 500K plus range. We're seeing a lot under contract, 300, 440, 460, and the ones that are above 500. If I scroll down, I actually can find a pretty good comparable. This one being about the same square footage as our house, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, and it is currently pending for 529. But there's a big thing I'm noticing here. There's another one as well here. I can see that it was originally listed at 591. Kind of crazy, right? But we can see that $500,000 range in this specific neighborhood, it's not very sellable, right? The people aren't looking in the specific area for 500K plus houses. Because it is a corporation, I'm comfortable giving you this information. They actually purchased this property in February 2023, so essentially this year, for $548. And now they're trying to sell it for $505. I'm pretty comfortable making the prediction that they're definitely in the negative in this house. Okay, now that we have a better idea of what's going on with the pendings, what's going on with that, I'm not actually gonna focus on the sold right now. What I'm gonna focus now on is to find the last time something has sold that's very similar to this. I don't care how back I have to go. I just want to get a good idea of really focusing on what the house is, which is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. We'll do two to three, so because in case there's 2.5, like square footage exact. I'm not gonna leave it like open. I want it to be very, very exact. And I want to find out what's the last time a house is sold. Let's start with 180 days, and there hasn't been any sales for 180 days with that kind of house. That's already pretty alarming. Let's go back even further. Let's do about a year. If you're wondering, hey, how come this house isn't being on MLS? Well, this company actually buys them off market. So so that's why you can't really see that. One house, we have to go back 500 days to find a house. And here we have one. And I can already tell you it's not looking good. 545,000. Now let me tell you why this is alarming and why it's really important to look at houses and this, like, find any similar model matches. So this house looks like a close in June of 2022 for 545. This is a little bit alarming, and let's go look back at the data so we can get a good idea of something interesting that happened in the middle of the year. Now we can see is if we focus just in the Goodyear city here, and not the whole entire market, it had a very interesting thing where starting in June, July, there was a sharp increase of inventory, surpassing anything that's happened in the last few years. Now, I know is when inventory goes up in a specific area, usually demand is dropping and the values drop. And we can verify those claims by looking up average sales price to see what happened. And we're going to declick all the cities and we're going to focus just on Goodyear. And we can see that's exactly what happened. Around May 2022 was the absolute top. And from that point on, it started dropping, right? So now we did drop and we started going up like beginning of the year. And July shows like it's dropping, but then it's not the end of the month yet. So we're not going to put too much validity to it. But we can see here May was the very top. So understanding your local market is absolutely important. And if we understand that market and we see that this house sold not in May, but in June, which is already a month or two after the very top, I can safely say this was a great comp if you were living in La La Land, and this is no longer a solid comp. According to our numbers here, our average sales price went from 571 all the way to, let's just give it around mid-range of 521. So $50,000 off that price. Now, that would be if the house is on the market and it sells quickly, right? But this has already been on the market for a while, especially 130 days. So I'm going to be very punishing with the offer I'm going to make. I'm not just going to give them what they want, right? So that's already about $50,000 off. Right? So there's been about a 9% drop since those really high highs. So let's just say 10%. Okay. So I can already safely assume if this house sold for $545 and we take out 10%, we're approximately $490. So we've determined the fair market value being about $490. So are we going to offer $490? No. We're going to hit them hard. They've been on the market over 100 days. They're probably in a negative position right now, and it doesn't make sense now. Something loses its value if it's been on the market for more than, a month, I would say, but so this point is already past that. So anything we get below fair market value at this point, which is 490-ish, would be a gain in my opinion. So I would probably offer something along the lines of 475, 480, especially since if I look at the photos, it doesn't look like it's in bad shape. Now, of course, the price has nothing to do with needing repairs, right? Because we're still going to do an inspection. And if there's any repairs to be done, we could still ask for that. But this house, built in 2016, less than 10 years ago, it looks like it's really solid shape. It's just unfortunately in that weird position where this particular neighborhood that we're looking in doesn't really sell a lot of 500K houses. And if they do, people are going the new build route. They're not going the resale routes, right? So you're competing with the 500K plus crowd, which is already very limited in this area, with other new builds. And on top of that, you're overpriced, especially because you're a resale. You're gonna have to compete with them, right? I don't care if it's. It looks pretty good shape in my opinion. It has a little storage in the back, very good lot size for the specific for that area, because that area tends to have a pretty low lot size. RV gates, you can park la troca. So overall, I would offer. Fair market value is 490, so I would offer definitely whatever percentage under you would want to go, depending on how aggressive you want to be. So in conclusion, the house seems to be priced okay. The house seems to be in good condition. The only problem is if you do a little bit of market research, you can determine, hey, houses that are above 500K usually go to new builds. And something very similar to it sold for a high price, and if we adjust to the market, it really doesn't make sense to be at the 500K range. It should be in the high 400s. And on top of that, now that it's been on the market for over 100 days, we can punish even more by even trying to push it as low as possible to the mid 400s. They're already losing a lot of money on it. Why not try to get a lot more money? If you want to find out how I find these overpriced listings, go to my previous video where I basically show you guys my procedure and how I find them and how you can find them in your local area. So good luck out there. Remember, let's not overpay for houses. Take care.